Have you ever had what you would consider a perfect gaming session? What would that even look like? Well, last night we had a pretty amazing game and it might just qualify. Let's talk about why. Hello and welcome to DnDaily number 257. I'm Gregory, this is 1 in 20 D&D, where I talk about RPGs, especially Dungeons & Dragons, and this vlog is my chance to share my thoughts and experiences with you all. If that sounds interesting to you, if you want to hear some great stories along the way, then by all means, please subscribe and remember to hit the bell notification so that when I post these videos, you will know and you can be the first to watch them. Now, today I'm gonna talk about what happened last night, why on some level it could kind of be seen as perhaps a perfect game, and also a little bit why I'm kind of melancholy today after last night's session. First, let me talk about, well, what would a perfect game look like? What would that be to you? By all means, share your thoughts in the comments on this video, and let me share to you what I kind of think might be a perfect game. To me, a perfect game is going to look like this. There's going to be a fun bit of interplay between the characters and the world they are in. So there's probably going to be some kind of exploration, perhaps combat, maybe it's going to be a social encounter. Regardless of how that appears, they're going to interact with the world that they are in. The other thing I think that's really important in a quote perfect game would be one where the characters develop and bond in or through the course of the role playing in the session. So I guess on some level, to me, a perfect role-playing game session is going to have a good amount of action and intrigue and draw into the world to make us want to continue playing the game, and it's also going to have a lot of good interplay between the characters. Now, that doesn't have to mean that every single character interacts with every other character and that all of it's great. I'm just saying that there's some good interplay between the members of the party and that again contributes to the story and moves it forward. Last night, I feel like that's exactly what happened. We started out the session with combat. We got right into the heat of the battle, and we very nearly got our butts handed to us. We actually had, it started off really badly, and it almost went into that bad place of the downward spiral when things just keep going out of control. Luckily, it turned around. We had the bad die rolling and maybe bad decision making, who knows, that was made at the beginning, changed gears. Things started to shift back in the favor of we the players, or us the players, and that made the tides turn in a really satisfying way. But in the aftermath of this battle, where we pretty much got, well, embarrassed by the things we were fighting, the orcs and half-orcs that we encountered, we had some really amazing role-playing, which was super cool because it gave us a chance to A, get a little more insight into who these characters are, and B, we had a conversation, the characters had a conversation about what they did wrong and what they need to do moving forward if they're going to function well together, which was really cool. So there was this really incredible character growth and almost like team building kind of element to the session, which was really satisfying during the game. And then I think we got an immediate payoff because the second half of the session was another combat that was actually a more intense combat on a lot of different levels. And because instead of acting like, well, disorganized and like lots of different parts doing their own thing, in the second half of the session in the battle, we all worked together. And we worked together pretty well. We didn't have any like real powerful, potent combos where, like, you know, one player's skills or abilities or spells really amplified someone else's. However, we fought the battle more strategically. Like, everyone sort of fell back into the sort of sweet spot of their role. Like, if you're a spellcaster and you got ranged spells, you probably don't want to be toe-to-toe with your enemy, right? And conversely, if you're the tank or you have the best armor class and are the hardest to hit, you should probably be drawing as much attention from the baddies as you can, right? And so in the first fight, that didn't work at all. And it's probably because we were too spread out. And, you know, between a few of the characters making those observations to each other in the game, we came back in the second battle and we actually, everybody sort of had their character, let's say, just do the right thing or something. It was really neat. So even though we had, you know, some of the members went down, they got overwhelmed, they went down to 0 hit points, we didn't get overwhelmed as a group, and we were able to then continue to whittle down our enemies and finish the battle in a really strong position. And here's ultimately, to me, why it was so perfect. So I said at the beginning, I'm feeling a little melancholy because, well, this is probably the second to last game of this story arc. We know, because of limits of real life, we have to wind up after one more session, which is going to be in 2 weeks, Wednesday night in 2 weeks. Please come hang out with us if you're able to, over on One Crit Wonder TV. And even if you don't, by all means, you can always watch the VOD after the fact. So we know that things are winding down, which is kind of like, yeah, it made me feel a little bit. However, I have made the most amazing friendships through this game that we know, we've already been talking about it. We know we will play again, whether they're going to be one-shots, maybe it's a different campaign, or perhaps we might even do some kind of a season 2 somewhere down the road. So fear not. And the cool thing to look forward to is that we still have our final session, wherein we're basically going to face the Dragon of Icespire Peak. And so this is why I kind of feel like this was, in a way, a perfect session. We had combat that went poorly, and we learned from it. We had combat that went really well. We had role-playing that brought us all together as players and as characters, kind of got us all on the same page. And all of that built in to the story, the overall story, the arc of the story that we're telling. So here's this group of unlikely companions who have come together and are being faced with this potentially overwhelming threat of a dragon. They have made some bad decisions or had some, you know, strange experiences along the way, some good times and bad times and laughs and all that and growth. And here they are in preparation. Like, we the players know we're fighting the dragon next time, right? We're gonna face the dragon next time. That's out of game. That's the meta of the session or of the group. In the game, the characters are just sort of coming to terms with the fact that, like, we're probably gonna have to deal with this dragon sooner rather than later because it's threatening the countryside and there's no other heroes out here. And are we even heroes? And so there's all of this kind of angst happening within the group. So it was perfect. It was a perfect session. We saw the good and the bad in the session. We learned some things about our characters, about ourselves. Let's say the characters learned some things about themselves. We interacted with each other, learned from that, and then implemented that all in one session. Yeah, that was exciting. It was great role playing. It was fun game. We got to use mechanics from our classes, and we got to use abilities that worked well and actually succeeded. It was super fun. So even though I'm a little sad to see this thing winding down, I'm really excited to see what happens in 2 weeks when we face this dragon. I hope you're gonna be there with us. Yeah, so on a lot of levels, to me, that was a perfect game. And I want to hear about what a perfect game looks like to you. You can tell me about it in the comments below. And by the way, check out this video over here where I'm talking about what else? Dungeons and Dragons and RPGs. Thanks for being here. I'll see you at a table someday. Keep rolling 20s till then. And remember, it's your game. Play your way.